A peril of being a popular filmmaker making mainstream films is that your failure, just like your success, happens in front of the whole world. There is no running from it, and there are barely any means to delude the world. Despite attempts, the truth ultimately prevails. The only fitting answer to failure is a success which turns the tables around and restores the lost glory of a filmmaker. One hit or flop changes everything here. The most recent example of one such extreme scenario is Nelson Dilipkumar. The filmmaker himself addressed at the audio launch of Jailer that when he was about to start filming the Rajinikanth starrer, there was a lot of negative effect on him, indicating the vehement trolling he was subjected to post the release of his third directorial, Beast. Although Beast wasn't a commercial disappointment as attested by Rajinikanth himself on the same stage, the audience and the critical reception were extremely negative. Now, with Nelson making a memorable comeback with Jailer, let's take a look at some filmmakers who followed up some of their failures with successful films and answered their critics.
Never, ever give up!
Shankar, Onion after Boys. Shankar is a name that has become synonymous with grandeur over the years, and rightfully so. Up until 2003, the filmmaker had delivered only blockbusters in Tamil in the form of Gentleman, Kadalan, Indian, Jeans and Mudalavan. But with Boys, when he decided to take a detour into a territory that we generally don't associate the filmmaker with, the results were bitter. Boys was primarily targeted at the youth and was a coming-of-age drama sugar-coated with AR Rahman's lovely soundtrack. However, it was ultimately panned for being obscene due to some of the themes explored, with the filmmaker receiving flack for portraying vulgar scenes featuring young adults. 2 years later, Shankar returned to form with Onion, a zone that made him a celebrated filmmaker among the masses, a vigilante actioner with just the right dosage of social commentary. Onion, featuring a fabulous Vikram as an upright man with split personality, brought critical and commercial accolades to Shankar and compensated him fittingly for the negative reactions to Boys. Mani Ratnam, OK Kanmani after Ravanan and Kadal. Mani Ratnam tasted back-to-back failures with Ravanan, his ambitious reinterpretation of Ramayana, and Kadal, a tale of Saturn and God fighting for the soul of a young man. Although the films have their merits and demerits, both of them were rejected by the audience. Although both the films did find a loyal following among select cinephiles eventually, but at the box office, they tanked without a trace. And Mani Ratnam's relevance was even questioned. The romantic drama OK Kanmani, a take on modern relationships, marked the resurgence of the master filmmaker in 2015. A companion piece to his celebrated Alai Paide, the film, starring Dulquer Salmaan and Nithya Menon, introduced the filmmaker's touch to a newer generation of moviegoers. Miskin, Onayum Aatukkuttiyum after Mugamudi. Miskin is one of the most interesting filmmakers to have emerged from Tamil cinema. He unabashedly embraces his indulgence and is adamant about making a particular kind of cinema that enriches the cinematic sensibilities of his audience. Despite such ambitions, even his filmography is not devoid of misses, with Mugamudi, his version of vigilante superhero film, being the biggest misfire. The blend of Western influence, Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, and Miskin's own style resulted in a bland mess of a film that ended up being disloyal to both the sensibilities it is supposed to capture. It was a dud at the box office, with critics panning it for its overindulgent treatment. So with his next film in 2013, Miskin returned to the zone he revels in, dark dramas that get into the intricate human psyches. Onayum Aatukkuttiyum was exactly that, and it remains one of the filmmaker's strongest works. At one point in the film, Miskin's character confesses his mistake by looking at the camera. The filmmaker later revealed in an interview that the scene could also be interpreted as Miskin, the director, seeking forgiveness from his viewers after the failure of Mugamudi. Siva, Viswasam after Vivegam. I'm pretty sure you all remember this. When Vivegam was released in 2017, the film was subjected to heavy trolling for its unrealistic action sequences and for the placement of the final song, Veriyera. Siva admitted in an interview that he was taken aback by the negative reactions, and it was actor Ajit Kumar who suggested that they join forces for a new film together instead of parting ways on a bitter note. The result was Viswasam, a simple, wholesome family entertainer that remains to be one of the very few family films in Ajit's filmography.
எனக்கு இன்னுமா பொங்க வச்சிருவாருன்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
which is otherwise dominated by action films. And the success of Vishwasam needs no further corroboration. Gautam Menon, Ennai Arindal after Nadunisi Naigal and Needane en Ponvasantham. After Gautam Menon made the incredibly successful and acclaimed Vinay Thandi Varuvaya, a breezy relationship drama featuring one of the greatest AR Rahman soundtracks of all time, he decided to experiment. His next, the dark and violent Nadunisi Naigal, which, if you notice, did not feature a background score, but it was downright panned. When he returned to the romance genre with Needane and Ponvasantham, which was parallelly shot as Yeto Vellipoyindi Manasu in Telugu, it couldn't recreate the magic of VTV. After 2 back-to-back flops, the filmmaker returned to form with Ennai Arindal, the third entry in the GVM Cop series, which includes Kaka Kaka and Vettayadu Veliyadu. Ennai Arindal, with that GVM touch, remains one of Ajit's best films in recent times and put the filmmaker back in the game after 2 flops. And what happened next doesn't need to be discussed. Vishnuvardhan, Shershah after Yachin. Vishnuvardhan is another interesting filmmaker known for his ultra glossy and stylish films. The terrible Yachin, starring Arya and Krishna, went completely unnoticed during its release in 2015. While Vishnuvardhan's Telugu film Panja, starring Pawan Kalyan, continues to be discussed online for some of its cool action sequences despite underperforming at the box office, Yachin seems to be completely erased from the memory of Tamil audience. What's more interesting about Vishnuvardhan is that he made his comeback not in Tamil but in Hindi, with the intense and moving biopic Shershah. The film, which premiered on Amazon Prime Video in July 2021, met with highly positive reactions, and speculations now say that the filmmaker will be teaming up with Salman Khan for his next. Now that's a big step up. Venkat Prabhu, Chennai 28-2 after Biryani and Mass. Venkat Prabhu is one of the most entertaining filmmakers we have in Tamil cinema. His films and characters have a fun vibe that makes them instantly likable. After delivering a blockbuster in the form of Mangata, Venkat Prabhu went on to direct the crime comedy Biryani, which, despite featuring an intriguing plot, didn't realize its full potential. His next film, Mass, starring Surya, had a quirky premise, well, even if it's inspired by The Sixth Sense, but it couldn't meet the expectations. After 2 consecutive disappointments, the filmmaker fell on the sequel to his highly popular and beloved buddy cricket comedy Chennai 28. The sequel was an entertaining watch and came to the filmmaker's rescue when he needed it the most. Interestingly, after Chennai 28-2, he directed a film called Party, which unfortunately is yet to see the light of the day. But after that, he hit the ball out of the park with Manad. Karthik Subbaraj, Peta after Iraivi and Mercury. Karthik Subbaraj made a groundbreaking debut with Pizza in 2012. But he went through a low phase when Iraivi and Mercury couldn't match up to the critical and commercial success of his debut and his sophomore feature Jigar Thanda. But when he got the opportunity to direct his idol Rajinikanth in Peta, he leveraged it to the fullest capacity. Peta, which promised to bring back the vintage Rajinikanth, in a way kickstarted the trend of fanboy films, and goes without saying it was a massive commercial success during its release in 2019. Mohan Raja. Now, Mohan Raja's story is an interesting one. Raja's filmography has a high success ratio, but the filmmaker was always confined to remakes. Of the 7 remakes he directed from 2001 to 2011, only 2, Thilalangadi, starring his brother Jayam Ravi, and Velayudham, featuring Vijay in the lead role, didn't make such a lasting impression. While it's hard to say whether Velayudham was a box office disappointment, Raja himself addressed that he was growing tired of the remake label. And then came Thani Oruvan in 2015, that not only turned out to be a box office blockbuster, which was also much needed for his brother Jayam Ravi at that point, but it also finally proved Raja's mettle as an original writer and director. And Thani Oruvan, without a doubt, is one of the best mainstream films of the past decade, and we cannot wait for the sequel. Mithran Jawhar. Mithran Jawhar is yet another interesting filmmaker who we still believe hasn't received his due. While his debut Yaradini Mohini, a remake of the Telugu film Adavari Maatalu Ardale Verale, was a huge success, his next few films couldn't create a similar impact. Kutti, the remake of Arya, and Uttamaputhiram, the remake of Reddy, passed at the box office, but they were remakes. His 4th film, Meendum Or Kadal Kadai, a remake of the Malayalam hit Thattathin Mariyathu, tanked without a trace. Similarly, the straight-to-streaming release Madil barely made any impression. And then came Tiruchitrambalam. Tiruchitrambalam is without a doubt one of the best Tamil films in recent times.
Hi, Param.
And Mithran is now collaborating with R. Madhavan for his next film. That's it from this video. This is Ram Venkat signing off. Do let us know in the comments below what some of your favorite comebacks are.